Hey everyone, we're just gonna wait a few minutes for people to start coming in. I'm also gonna throw the link into the Discord and then I'll start the presentation. Right, looks like there's a couple people also coming in from Discord. So let's see.
Yeah, we'll probably wait for like 2 more minutes and then get started. Okay, I think we could begin if there's other people.
Yeah. I guess I'll make sure to admit anyone else who comes in, but I'll start for now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. All right. So first, what are guided projects? What exactly will we be helping you guys do here? All right. So what we aim to do with guided projects was to find like a nice balance between, those types of tutorials where it's a lot easier to be involved, but at the same time, leave room for other people, for people to like explore, right? So it's kind of that nice middle ground that's really helpful for people to like learn in their own ways. And that's kind of what we're aiming for here. All right.
So why you should do them? Of course, they're gonna help you show it off on your resume. What you could do is, I know some people, especially first year students, you guys don't really have side projects and things like that. So this is going to be a great addition to your list of side projects. Along with that, you can learn and explore something new and fun, right? For example, when I can give you my example. So when I was doing a course in data science, it was sort of like a professional certificate with 10 courses or so. When I was doing it, I had something similar, and I think it was really good because I learned a lot of great things, and I'm hoping that, and we're actually hoping that you guys are also going to learn some great things. Of course, we don't just want you guys to do something and just keep it to yourselves. We're gonna have sort of like an exhibition at the end so you can win prizes, show off your project, and that'll be really cool. I think we have decided on an Amazon gift card, but yes, more updates to follow. Of course, you'll meet like-minded individuals, so people like mentors. You're gonna have access to mentors. You can ask them questions. You're also going to have people in your group. So if you're doing a group project, you can talk to them and basically just get help in that sort. And remember, if you're confused about your project, there's also office hours, and Matthew is going to explain more on those.
All right. So, in terms of office hours, so we have a very specific amount of mentors, and obviously the scope, um, the number of people involved in this project, in this initiative, means that it's a little difficult to coordinate because mentors are very like voluntary. So I think the best like balance that we found was really making sure that we'll be providing like good resources for people to like learn from. But then when people like really need help, we're setting up office hours with mentors so that you can have like a dedicated time for you to go in and like ask for help about your project or whatever. And it'll be up to the mentors to decide how much more they'll be involved outside of that. But obviously, the mentors are students or like or people who are working as well. So they have a so that timing may vary. These mentors will be set up for each category, and I'll go through some of the categories we'll be talking about later, as in like which ones you'll be able to select. But the schedule will go out as mentors are announced later this week.
Yeah. Yeah. So deadlines, I know that you guys were pretty confused about deadlines and how this is going to look like. And these were actually, we had a few questions about these. So here's the general structure that we have planned for you guys so far. Um, Before starting your project, you're going to have to submit an abstract, and that's going to be due on October 31st. Essentially, that abstract is going to be like a summary of what you want to do in that project and a few more details that we're going to go over in a few minutes. Um, and there's going to be project report deadlines. So that's essentially for your mentors to see that you're doing your project every week and just for them to make sure that you're on task. Really, it's not too much work. It's basically just probably less than a page, maybe a paragraph or so. But yeah, these are just for your mentors so they can see where you're at and they know that everyone's on task, right? So there's also the final report due. Of course, we don't just want to make it boring where you just simply code your project. We want you guys to have something to show it off to, right? For example, you can create a presentation or anything with your project in it, maybe summarizing what you did, and that's due on December 12th. There's also final showcase. Of course, I know some of you guys had questions if it was mandatory to take part in these, but you don't have to. If you do, of course, you're going to increase your chances of winning prizes. But this showcase is the time where you're going to be presenting your projects in sort of like a 2-minute span, and you're going to be judged upon your projects.
All right, just kind of some stuff that on top of what Smriti talked about. So the abstract is just roughly one paragraph where you go over your general idea as to what your project will be about, and then some of the features that will be involved. Um, it's really quick. It's just to see, like, it's sort of to make your project more concrete so that you know what you're working towards. And then, as she mentioned before, it's about a paragraph to page max. But really, what it's supposed to do is help both you and your mentors like see, like, gauge what your progress is like at that point in time, like tangibly, like what exactly have you achieved? So even if, I understand that everyone is busy with school, and it's often really difficult to set aside time to work on other stuff. So at least if you're able to, do this amount and you're able to achieve a certain amount, you can record that at that point in time, and then you see, wow, at the end, even if I wasn't able to do as much as I wanted, I hit these milestones. It's kind of to help you keep yourself in check, and also for mentors to see where you are. So it's pretty good. It's something that you should definitely look forward to doing. So now in terms of the categories that we'll be going over, we've listed about 5, and they're just they're going to depend like a lot. They'll vary a lot within, but we kind of group them together based on like ideas that people were interested in looking into, and ones that we thought would be result in a project that is worthwhile, while also hopefully not being as time consuming as people, like not too time consuming so that people aren't able to like finish it. So some that people were interested in terms of like doing like a Kaggle kernel type, which is like you kind of go through, you analyze it, um, do some feature selection, um, and reflect that with like visualizations, and then choose some method of solving a problem. That's like one aspect that we'll include. There's also something that one of our execs is just really interested in, is like reinforcement learning. So you have you have these like AI players that like optimize a game so that they score as much as possible, and that's also an option as well. So some other things that we're looking into that are available are like computer vision related projects, such as like an object detector. You take a picture of something and you identify it. You can do a lot more on top of that, and in various ways. So that's kind of open for everyone, but that's kind of like the baseline, right? And then there's also optical character recognition. So, you know, if you're like translating, well, that's kind of another level, but at least if you have like handwriting and you want to like pick it up with like a camera and be able to tell what it says, that's kind of what this falls under. So in terms of other examples of some stuff that people wanted and we thought would be interesting to work on, would be like recommender and generative systems. These are it's kind of interesting that we've decided to put these together, but it kind of spawned from like music type generation or like recommendation. So like obviously these categories aren't like, they're just kind of broad categories in terms of fields that you would like to explore. But you can obviously like, if you think you have a good concrete idea that you personally would want to, you think you would be able to commit yourself towards like working towards, then I think that you can go and like, you can try like IMDb, like movie recommendations or something else. So some other stuff that we have here are like GANs. That's kind of like a broad range, but basically you're generating like, you're basically I haven't really done too much in terms of that, but one of our mentors is more experienced with that, so he'll be able to help. But it's like you basically have two sides, and then they make each other. You have two sides to this algorithm, and then they make each other get better, so that one side is like generating, and one side's trying to tell whether one is um, like tell if it's I guess it's like like an imitator, or if it's actually like a real like thing. I guess it varies depending on your application, but basically there's that. It's like it kind of works towards something better. So finally, there's NLP. So NLP is also a huge field as well. All of these are big, and I guess the point is to at least narrow down what exactly you want to work on. and you'll be able to like rank these on the form that we'll send out today. And then we'll like help people form groups, or if you're already in a group, also um, you can also like, we'll basically give you this field, and then you guys can determine what you want on your abstract. So lastly, natural language processing. There's so much out there that you can use. There are a lot of data sets. Some that people like brought up is the like, Yelp reviews. You can do something like try to generate Yelp reviews, or do some sort of analysis on Yelp reviews with natural language processing. There's news as well. You can perform sentiment analysis on it, and then build like a whole like app surrounding that. So there's so much you can do. Just figure out what exactly you guys think is interesting, and then I guess rank it, and keep that in mind when you do that. Okay.
Yeah, so of course now you guys may be questioning how you be filling your topics. So I know that we want to consider your opinions as well. So what we're doing is we're basically instead of having us give you guys topics, we're essentially going to give you guys forms. It's a Google form, and you're going to fill out your choices, or basically rank your choices. So Matthew mentioned the 5 choices. You guys just basically have to sort of choose your first choice, second choice, sort of like that, and rank it however you guys want it. And of course, we're going to do our best to accommodate your first choices. Um, and you have to fill out the form, because that's how you're going to get your topics. And that's really important, because you need those topics in order to complete your abstract, therefore complete your project. So that's an important step.
All right. Someone asked, any prerequisites required to be part of any projects?
No, not really. So our workshops, basically, we're going to be teaching everything from the basics. So importing libraries and everything. So you don't have to worry about that. I know this was like one of the questions from the Google form we sent out earlier as well. So yeah, you don't need to have any prerequisites. Although if you do, then the way you do assignments are going to be different. For example, your projects may be significantly different than those that don't have experience, right? Because our mentors are going to be specifically helping you out with the stuff you need. It's not going to be something general. So if you have prerequisites versus if you don't, then it's fine, because then your projects are going to be different, and our mentors are going to allocate their resources according to that.
All right. So, we understand that. So there are a lot of people who want to be on teams that we will be putting people together, but there are also, we have, I guess some people we've marked as individuals, but I think our goal is to like have people motivate each other, and we also think it's um, better for people as a whole just to be on a team. So we've decided we're gonna try as much as possible to form like good teams based on the choices that people make when they rank, and we'll try to like as best as possible. It's really hard to determine, purely based on ranks what'll make a good team, but we'll do our best to like accommodate everything. In terms of how many people in a group, I'd say we're aiming for 2 to 4. Like I'd say after 4 people, it's a little hard for some people to have motivation, because it'll the task will be split like a lot. Whereas if it's less, it'll might be more like demanding on people, so they might have less motivation. It's kind of a hard balance to strike, but yeah, generally 2 to 4 is kind of what we're aiming for.
Yep, and here we have some basic resources. Of course, this presentation is going to be shared with you guys, so you have access to these and you can learn them on your own. And don't worry too much, because our workshops that will follow after this workshop, they're basically going to teach you things that you need for your project. So, but yeah, here are some extra resources if you do want to work ahead. One of our executives, Bharat, he ran a basics to data science, so he teaches about Python, NumPy, importing various libraries such as NumPy, and I believe scikit-learn, pandas, and stuff like that. So if you click on that YouTube link, of course, you probably won't be able to access it right now, but we're going to share it with you. So that workshop is very good, because it goes into basics of data science, so you can try to use those skills that he does with your project to just get started. There's also a lot of good Medium posts, so even importing different libraries or using those libraries and essentially differentiating between libraries, for example, what scikit-learn does and NumPy and what different libraries do. Medium posts are very good for those. You can also basically have a quick introduction to different algorithms. So that link that we've attached, when you click on it, it's going to just give you different algorithms that you could use in your model. Also, linear regression, I think most of the people are going to try to do linear regression in their project somehow. So I know that Bharat kind of does go over it, but try to check like other links, so Medium posts to different sorts of resources, because they do go over that. Of course, we're gonna have something similar for you guys to get started as well. There's also documentation for support. So we were planning on creating a documentation for you. So documentation for 5 different topics for you. We're still working on it. That should be ready. Also, you can get help from your mentors, from us. I know that our president and other people in our executive team, including Matthew and myself, would be very happy to help you guys along with your mentors. So like we said earlier, you'll be assigned mentors, and you can always ask them questions regarding your projects, and they'd be more than willing to help you out. Yeah.
All right. So now we'll just go over some questions that people asked in the forum. So how much of a time commitment is this, and how long will the project take? So we say it really depends on the project that you decide to commit yourself towards. This might be something you have to keep in mind as well. Or it also depends on like the size of your group, but we're thinking roughly 2 to 5 hours a week over 2 months. It's a lot of time. It's going to be 6, 7 weeks. So you have a lot of time to work on this, right? And and so basically it's up to you, but we think this should be around the ballpark of what we think is like necessary at least to achieve something. So if you have doubts, who can you contact? So in terms of who, like, if you have like any doubts about anything, you're unsure about something project related or in terms of learning related, there's all the mentors and like the execs to help you out. We're always here and like happy to help. And then another question that came up was, if you want to be an exec, this is kind of separated. We just went through the forms and kind of took questions. So if you want to be an exec, there's always going to be exec forums like every term. So if after doing this, you find yourself very interested in this and want to like give back to the community and like help out with that, then you can go forward with that. 1 second, I just have to see. So something we brought up before is how much pre-knowledge do you need to know? Like, what are the prerequisites for this? So you don't really, we're kind of going from the baseline. Like a lot of people, when they start on a project, they know like nothing about it, right? It's kind of during the process of doing a project where you learn the most, to be honest. Like, you'll go down some rabbit hole and you'll find this and that. And that's kind of one of the best ways to learn. That's kind of the ways that everyone kind of recommends you to learn, right? So that's kind of what we're aiming for here, not just having like a tutorial where from the start to the end you're given instructions to do it. It's a lot of it's kind of, we're there to help you, we're there to give you stuff, but at the same time a lot of your learning will come from like exploring on your own. So you don't really need much right now. As long as you put in the work later and learn it, you'll be able to get there. And along those lines, how much Python like programming knowledge do you need to know? Python, like the main language that you will be using for data analysis and data science in general is probably Python. There are some like SQL databases or something that you might need like a SQL query to access, but in general, these are all pretty simple because Python's kind of meant for is like really general purpose. So it's really like succinct and concise in general, and it's really powerful with the few lines you can write. So a lot of the libraries like Keras or something are they don't require much. You just pass in all the parameters and you can run these huge models. So, and we'll also go over these, and you can find them in a lot of resources. So, yeah, in terms of if you're like you can be of any if you're first year or second year, it doesn't really matter. I think most of the people in data science is generally first year, so it's kind of just explore and learn from. This is what we're kind of doing here, right? We're trying to teach you from scratch. um, you're trying to learn from scratch through this project, and that's why we're encouraging like anyone to join. So um, yeah, uh, in general, there's a lot of resources out there, and we'll definitely make sure to point you guys in that direction. So do you guys have any questions really? Just to like type them out because we kind of have everyone muted right now.
Yeah, okay, sorry guys, I had to mute myself or something, but yeah. I can, yeah, we're gonna send out the forms to you guys through email. Also, I can send it out to you right now if you'd like to fill it out now. Here's the form. But yeah, we're gonna be sending it out to you through email, along with a link to the Slack channel and everything else.
Um, in terms of whether you'll be put into groups, even if you wanted to work alone, yeah, this was like one of the tough things that we had to sort out. Um, honestly, there's like many reasons why we decided that we wanted to put people together. Like, so something is like a lot of the time when you work on something and it's not very clear how you get through it, I think a lot of people, when they have like, we understand that people have like a lot of work throughout school. Like I personally, it was really hard for me to get involved in stuff outside that was external and didn't really have like there's no impact if I just stop doing it, right? So if you have someone to like be there with you and kind of like take over if you're not doing as much that week, or just to like talk to about it, it's a lot easier to like continue. Also, in terms of support this term, it was a little it's it was a little harder to get like the amount of people where we could cover for everyone. So I think it was a lot better for us and for everyone else to just have people in more teams.
Yeah, also, Matthew, do you mind going back to the slide with all the deadlines? Because I think someone needs to just have a look at it.
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, I think it's fine, but we can still go back to it so people can have a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, it is. It is recorded and it's going to be posted. Yeah, because I know that many people couldn't attend this, right? So we're definitely going to
Mm-hmm.
send this
So
out.
yeah, so something I didn't show, or something is on like another slide, but basically the deadlines will be this. So we will be providing the form like tonight, and it's a bit soon, but our deadline for that will be tomorrow, like Wednesday. And then we'll send out teams on Friday, right? So because we kind of wanted to get this going and we wanted to give roughly a week for people to get their, decide what specifically they wanted to do and like write up their abstract. Also, there's like midterms going on, I understand. So you don't really have much time to do it much, right? So like a week would be like plenty to decide this. So we have it so that it's Saturday, October 31st. We'll also send this out. We'll say like, abstract due this time, progress report due this time. And then every other week you have your progress report. And then at the end you have your final report on the 12th. And then we'll have like a show. Whoops. We'll have a showcase like after exams where everyone will, you don't have to show it. You don't have to show your presentation if you don't want to. Like if you want to get the prize, you'll probably have to display it to everyone because that's kind of part of it. But you don't have to if you don't want to. It's just kind of like a time to see like your results and see how what everyone else did. So yeah.
Also, someone raised a good question. It was a private question, but I'm just gonna say it out loud. I'm not gonna mention the name, but so the question was, will you guys be sending out reminders through emails, or is there a page I should follow for updates? Is Instagram enough? So yes, we're gonna be sending out email reminders because I know that there's a lot that you guys have to look at right now, right? For example, abstract deadlines with your academics and everything. So we're gonna be sending out reminders for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In terms of milestones for this project, I think like we'll be like by the time you start working on the abstract, we'll have mentors like out, and there's also us to help. But I think, and so we will provide like like your deadlines are, it's like a mix of, we'll provide some like guidelines for it, but it's also like something whatever you want to achieve. Like it doesn't really, there's no strict thing that you need to accomplish at this point in time. Even if you don't achieve your milestone, um, or your goal for that week at that point in time, it's fine as long as you like try to get something done for that point in time. That's the point of having progress reports more so than having some strict deadline. Um, so yeah, and it's fluid with every project because it's not really set right in place. You might have one project where you want to get like the model, you want to get the model like fitted a certain like to some extent, and then you want to start working on like the application, and then you wanted to like somehow integrate both of them together in this week, you know, or or something different for some other project, right? So it'll really depend. Okay. Also, yeah, someone mentioned the topics. Yeah, I'll go back to them. Uh, so yeah, I'll make sure to release the slides so that people can kind of look over them. Also, I should probably also provide, I have a list of some of the ideas that people brought up and also the ones that we thought of when people were talking about what they wanted to do and what kind of worked with mentors. So there are other ones where, in terms of reinforcement learning, I kind of just wrote some brief ones. There are a lot of data sets out there for the first one. It's like there's like Kaggle, data.world. There's a bunch of places where you can find data sets of something like interesting that you can like build up. So we'll kind of put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, just make sure to watch the video that that one of our execs posted. So in the resources page, you guys may have noticed there's a link to there's a YouTube link. So that workshop was run by one of our execs. So if you're a beginner, just maybe go through the video and yeah, just learn the basics to get started. So before creating the abstract, you guys know what to expect, or maybe you have an idea of what you might be doing.
Also, if you have any feedback in terms of like different parts of this whole initiative, whether it be this kickoff event or something else. If you think something would be interesting to include, or you don't like how something's being done, or you would like to know how something, like you would like for something to improve some way, feel free to send us like an email or send me personally like a
Yeah.
message, and we'll take that into consideration, because this is our first time running this, and it's definitely a lot to work through. So um, the recordings are posted. We have a UWDSC like YouTube channel. We'll post that there, and also you should be able to get that through the Facebook. There's a link there. So yeah, that's generally where it goes. I also sometimes see the stream on Facebook. I guess it depends, but yeah, that's kind of where you can generally find it, either Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah, definitely feel free to message one of us if you guys have any questions or any other execs you may know, because we're open-minded and we're open to your suggestions. So let us know. I think this sort of concludes our meeting. If you guys have any questions, you can ask them. If not, I think, well, look, we're done with our presentation. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's kind of a like brief overview. I know a lot of people were uncertain about what exactly we were trying to do, and it's still like ongoing, but we hope that everyone, everyone is able to, at least like get something out of this, so that at the end of the day, you have like a project, you have something that you've worked on, and that you're proud to like show, and also have gained something from like not knowing any data science at all. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. I'll
Thank
stop
you.
sharing now.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep replying to some messages that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.